James Porter had always lived cautiously. At 38, he had a comfortable life in Denver, Colorado, a steady job as an architect, a small yet cozy apartment filled with books and photographs, and a circle of dependable friends. On the surface, he appeared content, even successful, but inside, he felt like a spectator in his own life. He went through days filled with work emails, occasional gym visits, and quiet evenings alone. The thrill of spontaneity, the kind of adventures he had dreamed about as a teenager, all of that seemed lost to the weight of routine. One crisp October morning, James sat in his doctor's office, waiting for results he had subconsciously feared. Dr. Ellen Harper, a kind and perceptive woman in her mid-50s, entered with a solemn expression. "James," she began gently, "I've reviewed your tests. You have advanced stage heart disease. Without immediate intervention, your prognosis is limited." James felt the room tilt. Words like life-threatening and limited time echoed in his mind. For a moment, despair threatened to overtake him. But then, a strange clarity washed over him. He realized he had spent so many years waiting for life to happen to him that he had never truly lived. From that day forward, James made a decision. He would no longer merely exist, he would truly live. He started small. He walked through Denver's streets with no particular destination, marveling at the architecture, the laughter of children at the park, and the smell of fresh coffee from nearby cafes. Each sunset became a personal celebration, each conversation with a stranger a small adventure. He began documenting these moments, photographing city life, sunsets, and small unnoticed details that brought him joy. One afternoon, while capturing the fiery hues of a late autumn sunset, James bumped into Sarah Mitchell, a childhood friend he hadn't seen in 15 years. She had become a schoolteacher, still warm and compassionate, with the same bright laugh he remembered. Their conversation picked up effortlessly, as if no time had passed. Soon, they were spending weekends exploring hiking trails, visiting art galleries, and sharing long conversations over steaming mugs of cocoa. Through Sarah, James rediscovered the importance of human connection. He also began pursuing long-forgotten passions. James had once dreamed of learning music, and he now bought a second-hand guitar. His initial attempts were clumsy, but gradually, he improved. One day at a local music class, he met Laura Bennett, a talented violinist with a bright smile and boundless energy. Her passion for life and music was contagious. Through Laura, James realized that shared joy and vulnerability were gifts he had long neglected. The connection with Laura slowly deepened. They would spend hours practicing together, laughing when mistakes were made, sharing stories of childhood dreams and regrets. James admired Laura's enthusiasm for life, and she, in turn, appreciated his thoughtfulness and introspection. Their friendship blossomed naturally, built on trust, shared interests, and a love for discovery. James also decided to confront his lifelong fear of trying new things. He signed up for a weekend sailing course, something he had always dismissed as impractical. On the open water, with the wind whipping past him and the sun reflecting on the waves, he experienced exhilaration he hadn't felt since childhood. Every wave, every gust of wind, reminded him how fragile and beautiful life was. Not every day was easy. There were moments of fear and fatigue, stark reminders of his condition. Yet James refused to let illness define him. Instead, he focused on gratitude, grateful for the sunrise, the laughter of friends, the taste of fresh bread from the bakery, the warmth of a hug, and even the quiet moments of reflection that allowed him to appreciate life's simple pleasures. He also reconnected with his colleagues. At work, he began mentoring younger architects, sharing not just technical skills but also lessons about balance, creativity, and purpose. These interactions reignited a sense of meaning he had long thought lost. In the evenings, James and Laura began exploring the city together. They attended concerts, wandered through art exhibits, and participated in community events. Each outing was an opportunity to savor life's small joys. Laura's enthusiasm encouraged him to be bolder, to try new foods, dance at local festivals, and even join a weekend photography club. Slowly, James's world expanded beyond the boundaries he had unknowingly set for himself. James also pursued adventure in ways he had never imagined. He took weekend trips to nearby mountains, camped under star-filled skies, and hiked trails that offered breathtaking vistas. He documented these journeys through photography, journaling his thoughts, and reflecting on the small miracles he encountered, the smell of pine trees after a rain, the song of a distant bird, the warmth of sunlight on his face. Through all these experiences, James grew closer to Laura. Their connection deepened as they shared vulnerabilities and supported each other through challenges. One rainy afternoon, while sheltering in a small cafe after an unexpected downpour, James realized how much he cared for her. Laura's hand brushed his as they reached for the same cup of coffee, and the warmth of her touch sparked something he had long forgotten, the thrill of love and the joy of emotional intimacy. Yet James's journey was not just about romance. He devoted time to giving back to his community, volunteering at an animal shelter, mentoring at local schools, and helping organize community events. He discovered that true happiness often came from making a positive impact on others' lives. Each act of kindness, each smile he received in return, reinforced his sense of purpose and fulfillment. He also learned to reconcile with his past. James reached out to estranged family members, mending old wounds and rebuilding bridges. Through these reconciliations, he found peace and closure, freeing himself from lingering regrets. He began to understand that life's beauty often lay in forgiveness and the courage to reconnect. As winter gave way to spring, James reflected on his transformation. He had once been a man defined by fear and caution, but now he was a man defined by gratitude, courage, and the pursuit of joy. He understood that life's value was not measured in years but in moments of presence, connection, and authenticity. One sunny spring morning, James and Laura decided to take a long walk along the river. The water sparkled in the sunlight, and the trees were bursting with fresh green leaves. They talked about their dreams, fears, and hopes for the future. James realized that even if his time was limited, he had experienced more richness, joy, and love than he had ever imagined possible. At that moment, he felt truly alive. The diagnosis that once filled him with dread had become the catalyst for transformation. He had learned that life was fragile, but it was also extraordinary if one chose to embrace it fully. He had discovered that courage was not the absence of fear but the decision to act in spite of it. James's days became a tapestry of meaningful experiences. He continued to explore new hobbies, connect with friends, share music with Laura, volunteer in his community, and savor the beauty of the world around him. Each sunrise became a promise, each relationship a treasure, each day a gift. He had learned that true living was not about avoiding death but about embracing life wholeheartedly. Months later, on a golden autumn afternoon, James reflected on the journey he had taken. He had faced the shadow of mortality, stared it squarely in the eye, and chosen courage, curiosity, and love. He had learned to forgive, to love, to explore, to give, and to savor. He had found that the richness of life lay not in achievements or accolades but in moments of connection, gratitude, and presence. James Porter had transformed from a cautious man living in the shadows of routine into someone who embraced every moment with open arms. He had discovered the beauty of simple joys, the power of human connection, and the thrill of pursuing dreams. He had learned that life's value was measured not in length but in depth, not in security but in authenticity, and not in avoidance of fear but in the courage to live fully. As the sun set over Denver, casting a warm golden glow over the city, James walked hand in hand with Laura, feeling a sense of peace and fulfillment he had never known. He understood that life was fleeting, yet it was also extraordinary if lived with intention, gratitude, and love. And for the first time in his life, he felt completely, joyfully alive.